channel, we touch on a lot of topics, and I believe that one of the main topics that I touch on is on the fact that there's a lot of people who refuse to wake up, aka refuse to prep, and that is something that I often harp on it because I believe that if you're not prepared, you're not gonna be better off tomorrow. In fact, you're gonna be worse off tomorrow. Now, in previous videos, I had told you all what could happen, if we remove illegals from the country, the good things that can happen. So I touch on both sides of the coin. I'm not just seeing one side and not the other. I'm seeing both sides. And today I want to combine everything. And this is really relevant today because a lot of folks believe that because we have a new president who is doing a lot of things to get America back on track, that's it. They don't have to do anything else. There are others who just refuse to see what's in front of them. And I'm going to put things into perspective. And hopefully, those of you who are still asleep or on the defense to whether or not to prepare, this will give you a boost to start doing it. Now, the first thing you have to consider is an economic collapse can happen. The economy is fragile, really, really fragile. Inflation, you suffering right now. The value of your dollar, the one that you earn by going to work every single day, doesn't buy you as much as it did 4 or 5 years ago. It just doesn't. The chain supply is as fragile as a glass. I said this in other videos. If the stores close, then what? That's the problem that I'm seeing. Let's say now that you don't have enough money because your rent went up, because your food went up. What will you do now? Well, there are very few things that you can do. You can reduce your current debt now that you have a chance. You need to build up your savings. All of these things are increasingly difficult nowadays. But those are the ways that you can prepare for an economy that is as fragile as the one that we have. Now, here's something that I encourage everybody to do. Look at specials. Look at specials. Don't buy anything at full price. One of the things that we do here is we buy everything off season. We buy now during winter things for summer. During summer things for winter. We don't buy ammo unless it's on special. Plain and simple. We switch recently to different calibers simply enough because they were cheaper. Why? Because your dollar is not getting you what it used to. Why? Because your dollar has lost value over time and over time. And we are so close to see our economy go up in flames that it's not even funny. Now, in previous videos, I mentioned to y'all before that if we don't have a workforce, a cheap workforce, we're going to see food shortages. I want you to consider this. Considering the fact that I believe that it was 73% of people who work in the fields, picking tomatoes, cabbages, carrots, and so on and so forth, are immigrants. Let's say that those 73%, let's say that, 20% of those are illegal. That's a significant loss in labor force. A significant loss that farmers now will struggle to get those products. Plain and simple. I spoke about this in previous videos. I encourage you all to go look at those videos. It gives you a different perspective of things. Again, I don't look at just one thing and I go with this and I'm blind to the others. No, I'm trying to look at both. So we don't have cheap labor. Everything is going to cost you more. Your dollar, as I mentioned before, don't buy you as much anymore. What do you think is going to happen? you're going to have in your hands an economic collapse. You're going to have in your hands food shortages. And this is not a conspiracy. It is not a conspiracy. How much does a egg cost you nowadays? How much does chicken cost nowadays? I want you to consider these things. You need to start growing your food. I share with y'all how you can do it, even in small spaces. You need to build your local networks, and you need to learn about food preservation. These are things that we have talked about in this channel. Go back to our videos. You will find those things in there. You will see violent, in fact, reports. I hear about reports. I cannot 100% confirm, say reports, but I hear reports already of people getting violent. Why? Desperation. What do you think is going to happen when the stores say, we don't have food? I'm sorry. That desperation, especially in the cities where they have very little space to grow, where you can't raise animals because you have little space, where everybody is stuck on top of each other like sardines, where they depend 100% on the municipalities, aka the utilities, for water, sewer, electricity, and everything else. What do you think is going to happen? Civil unrest, just like that. We have a very delicate system, a system that, in my point of view, is on the edge of a blade. On the edge. And if you move to one side or the other, it's going to cut you in half. That's what I'm seeing. I'm telling you all these things because I want everybody to be as prepared as possible. Nobody will be 100% prepared. Nobody. But at least be as prepared as possible. Whether you have millions of dollars, thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars, or pennies. No matter what, you can prepare if you want to. Here's the last thing that I want everybody to keep in mind. Digital control is closing in. I had a very good comment, and I think it was my last video, the video before, about biometrics and whatnot. And years ago, I remember I did an international fly years ago. I wasn't even here in Alaska or anything. But when I came in and I put my passport, they compared my passport, they put it down, and they put your fingers in here. That's biometrics already. I did a little bit of research, and pretty much all airports in the US, especially international airports, use facial recognition. It's already here. It's already here. One of the things that we are doing, and we're doing this next week, is we are making sure that our passports are up to date. I don't know whether or not the passports are going to go higher in prices. I don't know. I just don't know. And I don't know if the government is going to close. I just don't know. So I told Mrs. D, and I have like 2 years left in my passport, and so it's her and last as well. But we were like, you know what? Let's just get all three of us, renew our passports, get more time. We pay today's price, aka the economy. Remember, that way we lock the price. And let's not only get the book that we get, but let's also get the little license looking passport. You never know. You never know nowadays when you're gonna have to identify yourself and be like, here. Don't confuse me with somebody else. I am here legally. If that gives you the chills, it should. It should. But this is something that I live in Cuba. Something that every single law enforcement officer, papers. Now, we are really accustomed here that we can talk to the police the way we want. The way we want. In Cuba, that was not the case. So, digital control is definitely closing in. And you may need to make a decision eventually to whether or not be connected or be unplugged. It will be up to you. I will say this though, the majority of people, every transaction is done online. It's done via internet. Almost everybody does that. Very few people, I know, very few people still do it, cash, checks, and whatnot. But most people have direct deposit nowadays. Most people don't deal with cash, and if they do, it's a combination. So, for those of you who believe that, the whole fingerprint thing is not here, it's already here. The whole facial recognition is here. The whole tracking you is here. Everything is already here. They just haven't come out in the open and say it's here. So, whether or not you choose to prepare as best as possible is up to you. Whether or not you choose to stay asleep and suffer, it is up to you. Whether or not you ignore the risk, well, it is up to you, and it will be on your own peril. There's only so much that one person can say and warn people, and people just don't listen. That's all I can say. Remember this. I lived in Cuba for 16 years. I went through things that I wish on nobody. And the fact is that a lot of you might have gone through hardships, but for 16 years straight, keep that in mind. I'm telling y'all, and I'm warning everybody. Prepare today for a better tomorrow. Prepare today for a better tomorrow. Unless you want to become Cuba. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like I was rock on, prep on, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye, everybody.